Hey everybody, welcome back to the Thrillcat Cinema Lab. We are here once again talking to some of the stars from CEDIA Expo, which is coming up now just about a month away. We want to see if we can find out what's going to be on display, what the new stuff is, what the fun stuff is. And today we have a company that if you're watching home theater YouTube, you're very familiar with them today. I've got Lucas Waters with me here from Valencia Home Theater Seating, and he is going to talk to us a little bit about what they are going to have on display at CEDIA Expo 2025. Lucas, welcome to the lab.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you for having us. I'm glad to be here.
So Valencia this year is part of Lumagen's Paragons of Home Cinema. You are going to be in Sound Room 11. You're going to have some seating, obviously, inside the room and some additional seats outside of the room. What can folks expect to see or to sit in?
So we've actually got some of our newest and greatest models on display. In the main part of the room, the front row, we're actually going to have our Barcelona Ultimate and Onyx on display. The back row is going to be our Premier Series Tuscanies on our built-in risers. And then outside the showroom, we're going to also have some Oslo Ultimate on display as well.
You mentioned something there called, you said built-in risers. Tell me about what is a built-in riser? I'm guessing it's exactly what it sounds like, but how does that work with the seating?
So a built-in riser is essentially a solution for where you don't have time or maybe not the ability to be able to install a riser into the room. So it's a built-in platform that we can do in anywhere from a 6 to a 12-inch height. Standard, it just comes in at 7 inches. So what that does is it props up the back seat to allow people to see over the front row without any sort of restrictions.
And now, is there any sort of step-up platform on that, or is it just cover the footprint of the seat itself?
It just covers the footprint of the seat.
Okay. So you kind of need to make sure you're going to be able to get into it without any, if you have small kids, it might not be the best seat for them, but it is a very nice solution if, maybe for someone in a rental who can't build that platform in there. That's very interesting. Cool idea.
Exactly, and that's why we have it, just for limited space, exact situations like renters and whatnot. It just gives you the option of just being able to have that without having to go through the pain and hassle of actually building it in the room.
Awesome. And you talked about you've got the Barcelona seats in the front row, and those are a favorite, not just for the front row because they're kind of a lower back with a headrest that comes up, but just home theater folks in general like that low back so they can have an unblocked path to their surround speakers and the rear speakers. And it's a better listening experience chair based on the low back design.
100%. The chair is actually specially designed for audiophile listening. And then, so it's, as I like to personally call it, the hideaway headrest. So it gives you the option of being able to have a really comfortable audiophile listening seat and as well as an amazing movie theater seat. I'm actually sitting in the Barcelona Ultimate right now as we speak.
Okay. What's the difference between the Ultimate and the regular?
So there's the Ultimate and then there's the Grand Ultimate. It's more or less just essentially like the XL version. So you get a little bit more of a wider footprint in the seat and a little bit more of a wider footprint on the armrests.
And that's the Grand Ultimate is the wider
Correct.
footprint. Okay. Got it. And it's, for someone like me who I've got a narrow room, it's always nice to have the option of cutting out a few inches every space you can so that you can fit into the seating here. I've got a narrow pathway here. And actually behind me, you can see I've got I guess it's hard to see, but I've got the Valencia Monza carbon fiber seating back there and a single seat with a love seat on the other side. Again, great to be able to customize and plan that because as someone who has spent decades with broadcast video cameras and cinema cameras on a shoulder, I have a bad back. And so I need an armrest on each side to keep me upright and just encourage me to sit up straight and not end up like this, like I do on a couch all the time. So it's nice to have that, but my partner likes to lie down and curl up a little bit when we watch something. So we've got the love seat on one side, we've got support on the other side, and quite frankly, I've had these about a year now, maybe a little more. I feel like my insurance should have covered these chairs, because between the fact that it keeps me upright, there's the built-in lumbar support in there, just all the features, all the niceties of the seating. My back pain is not nearly the problem it used to be, and it literally happened within a week or two of bringing these seats into the theater. So they're medicinal.
So we always love hearing feedback, especially like this, about our seats. We really do take a pride in building some of the best theater seating out there in the market. I actually do have a bad back, and I actually have the Tuscany in my own home. So coming from someone with a very, very bad back, I can speak on the ergonomics and the benefits that it actually does. I suffer from scoliosis, and I have a very, very bad case of it. And with the encourageable lumbar support, and on how like the Tuscany makes you kind of sit more into the center of the chair, being the bolstered edges. So it hugs you a little bit more into the center of the chair. So it's amazing for pressure relief, and as well as just being an insanely comfortable chair. So we try to derive a lot of our chairs based upon being comfort, posture correction, just so then that way you can actually sit in them for many, many hours. Like there's an old saying, like I always like to say, you could go out and you could spend $1 million on a car. It could have $100,000 paint job, a 1,800 horsepower motor. But if you can't sit the thing longer than half an hour and drive it, why'd you spend $10 million on a car?
Right.
So, being that seats are the main focal point of a room and, essentially the heart of it, that's where you need to put in the most effort and, kind of the most thought in saying, okay, well, what do I need in a chair? And, especially with our sales guys, that's what we really, really focus on, is trying to ensure that the customer is buying the proper chair for them. So in that way, they can build it for many, many years to come. We're in the business of building lifetime customers, not just one-time customers.
Sure. Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where, people think about where they're going to allocate their budget in their home theater. Everyone can find a way to justify spending another $2,000 on a the next model up projector, or getting the 4K or the 8K upsampling and getting a better receiver with more watts. And then you talk to them about seating, it's like, where's the cheapest seats I can find? Is there, and when you really think about it, the seat is the one thing you're going to touch every time you're in your theater. Maybe the seat and the remote. Yes, you're going to see the screen every time, but maybe sometimes you're just going to sit there and listen to music. Maybe other times you're just like, I come down here and, well, obviously my desk is here, but sometimes I'll just go over there and sit, because the acoustics over there are just calming for me, because it is, I've got a lot of absorption over there. So it's just kind of it's a calming space for me, and I don't have any electronics on, but I'm still sitting in the seat. So, I think it's one of those things that people often don't like spending a little bit extra on, and yet it's important, and you really do. It really is worth it, and that's not even to say that Valencia seating is expensive. I mean, yeah, it's more expensive than going, maybe to IKEA and getting some random seating to put in there, but it looks nice. It serves the purpose, and it's not prohibitively expensive like some things in our theaters can be. It's a reasonably priced, well-built product that you're going to use every time you're in your theater.
100%. And, our focal point is to not be the cheapest, but not to be the most expensive. We love being that middle tier. So in that way, every single Joe Schmo can essentially afford our chairs. And, we do the odd time run some amazing promotions as well that especially allow people maybe with tighter budgets to get into an absolutely amazing seat. There's a big difference between a seat that's going to last you 5 years versus a seat that's going to last you 10 years.
Sure.
And especially with attention to detail and quality, like we pride ourselves in ensuring that all of our customers get, and also nothing but the absolute best service. So that's a big main focal point for us, is to ensure that, customer satisfaction, customer happiness, and as well as that we're just delivering a product that they can use for many years to come and enjoy.
So Valencia is a company that I think, it's very well known in the world of the home theater seating, especially among the YouTube audiences for home theater, home cinema content. Very popular brand. There's a lot of people out there talking about them on social media, but you also work directly with the dealer channel as well. Talk a little bit about how one might become a dealer and what that means.
So essentially, our dealer program is still very new and we are still slowly developing it outwards. But this is just giving an opportunity to say where customers in more of a rural area might not have the availability to be able to go check out the chairs.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to slowly give an opportunity to be able for customers to actually get out and actually sit in the chairs and whatnot, considering we only do have the one Dallas, Texas location.
Right.
But, as slowly as the dealer program is growing, we're going to be introducing maybe the dealer selective models and stuff like that, is slowly all in the works and whatnot. It's still going to be quite a long process. We do still currently already actually have some dealers, but not a lot. But we definitely are encouraging people to, at at CEDIA to come down, check out, all the chairs and whatnot, and definitely inquire about becoming a dealer. We'll definitely have some info there for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I would point out is the variety. I really like to see kind of some of the newer, like the Monza, like the Barcelona. You have the Tuscany, which is the traditional, somewhat overstuffed recliner type seating, and I'm guessing it's a very popular item for you. I see them all over the place. We have a certain aesthetic that we like to follow, and it's a little more sleek and modern and industrial. And I like seeing things come along like the Monza carbon fiber and the Barcelona that more visually fit our style. And, they do come with a little bit, maybe less stuffing in them and less of the padding. But for me, I find the Monza extremely comfortable. Like I said, it's kind of done wonders for my back. It's like if you like a firm mattress, the Monza carbon fiber is going to be a good fit for you. If you're someone who likes the big thick pillow top, it might not be. But again, you have plenty of seats that can fit that bill. All different. What's I believe it's the Oslo that's going to be outside of your sound room at CEDIA. That's a really kind of a modern with the lacquer armrests. A lot of different variety these days that you might not have seen 10 years ago looking, at theater seating in this price point.
Absolutely. We're always constantly trying to come out with new features and new iterations of the models. Like we just actually released a lot of the new variants for the new 2025 lineup. So we just came out with Tuscany, Verona, Picenzas. We're slowly actually reworking the XL series as well. So that should actually be launched later in this year, probably about the next 2 months or so, I would believe. But coming out with all of them, like a lot of the new features is we updated the framework, the motors, and the electronics in it to a little bit more of today's today's level. So example, like instead of having just USB on it, we now have USB and USB-C, which is also a fast charger. We've also introduced RGB lighting instead of the traditional moonlight blue. You also have the black chrome cup holders and a different controller style. So those are a lot of the new iterations that we are also introducing. And there is actually going to be some more features actually also coming out as well in the next couple coming months.
When you, for someone who might be like adding a second row, when you update a chair, does it still have the same dimension, same footprint, same compatibility? Like if you say want to add 2 more seats to your back row and go from 3 to 5, but it's been 2 years, is there going to be any sort of issue on the surface with adding 2 chairs? Do they still look the same, have the same measurement, or does someone have to start from scratch?
So the chairs do still have the same footprint. The biggest indifferences of the chairs would be the cup holders and the controllers.
Sure. The cup holders aren't critical as long as the seating themselves is the same form factor, and they can still sit next to each other and not stand out that these 2 seats are 2 years newer than the other 3 seats. I think a black chrome cup holder next to a regular chrome cup holder isn't going to be too big of a bother for most folks.
I wouldn't think either. It's just more personal preference at the end of the day.
Yeah. Especially when there's usually something in there and the lights are out, and in
a dark room, it's hard to see just about anything.
Yep, absolutely. So you are constantly looking at updating the various models. Is there anything on the horizon that you're ready or willing to discuss yet, kind of after CEDIA?
Well, there's actually a lot of new stuff coming out, highlighting, actually the new XL series that's going to be coming out, and just a couple different new upgrades. I don't want to spill too much, but there is a lot of big stuff coming out in the next couple of months, maybe about the year or so.
Okay, excellent. Good to know. We'll have to definitely keep our eyes open for what's coming next. And you'll have to let me know, and we can definitely talk about them here on the channel. Like I've mentioned many times, I'm a big fan of the seats that I've got, though my partner might be interested in something with a little bit more cushion. So we might have to swap these out at some point with something to meet in the middle. Still give me the support that my back needs, and give her the padding she needs to get a good nap while I watch a movie she doesn't care about.
My wife does that all the time with me.
Yeah. And honestly, if there's one downside, I've fallen asleep in this chair more than I may have used to, fall asleep in previous seating, because it's comfortable and it's easy to relax in, I guess. One other thing, going back to the seating that you've got outside of the room at CEDIA this year, the ultimate heat and ventilation version of the Tuscany, is that's basically kind of taking the same technology that automotive manufacturers are using and bringing that into the theater?
More or less in the same capacity. Like, you have your traditional heating pad with 3 levels on it, and then you also have a cooling function. It's a blower motor that you also have 3 stages on that can ramp up. It does predominantly also more so based upon like the actual level in the room, just because it is pushing kind of more ambient air that is around it. So it's not like a full-blown AC system, but sure. Coming from someone who runs very hot themselves, especially in a movie room, I can tell confidently that it definitely does cool you down quite a bit. It's great for hot summer days, or those cold winter nights when you just want to curl up with the missus or with the family and just be in a nice snuggled up chair and just have a really, really nice relaxful evening. One of the biggest things as well is it's also very therapeutic as well. I personally, coming from having a really bad back and severe scoliosis, I find that the heating level on it is the perfect temperature to actually get into those nerves, to start releasing things and whatnot. Then actually, when you have the proper support about that, especially in, say, the Tuscany chair, then it takes the load off of that, allows the heat to actually get into it. And then when you actually stand up, you're like a spurt chicken almost.
Excellent. That's an angle of it I wouldn't have actually considered right out of the gate, as the therapeutic angle. I think about it. I think of, heat and kind of the cooling ventilation side of it. We're different enough down here that I'd be running the cooling side and she'd run the heat, and on the same time at the same night. She's always cold, I'm always hot. Being in Seattle, we don't have central air in the house, so it can get warm in here at night. So I could definitely see the advantage to the ventilation side of it. But then again, bad back, sore night, turn on the heating pad. That actually is very tempting. How many models does that go across? Is that only on the Tuscany, or is it coming out in other lines as well?
It will be available as a standard option on a couple of different models in the coming future, in the next coming months. That's one of the projects that we actually have in the works. But currently, as it stands, you can place custom orders that can incorporate them as well on a lot of our different models.
Okay. And I'm guessing those are all, it's listed as an option in the order form on your website, or is it
underneath the build your own section.
Okay. Very cool. Well, we talked about it a little bit before we started recording. I just have to go on the record as someone who I would love the ability to put a controller in the chair that would add it to my theater automation system. I think that to me is a feature that I think would be just like chef's kiss perfection for it to be able, I love having the lighting on when people come into the room and show that, but once the movie starts, we want the lighting off. If it was just tied into that play automation, perfect. So
that
that's
is
something
one of the,
you can call that the Travis option or the Thrillcat model.
Definitely, we always love hearing, feedback from customers, and especially, entertainers like yourselves and whatnot, on how we can always improve the models. Mm-hmm. These are the biggest things that we want to hear, is what customers want to actually have in the chairs. So in that way, we can create the most ultimate comfort creature, kind of style chair that has every single bell and whistle that you could possibly need.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely not a need. That's a want. The creature comforts are there. We just, that wow factor that we like to often add in our theaters, that, the lighting slowly fading up when the credits begin without having to pick up the remote and slowly fade the lighting up. It's just those little touches like that are a lot of fun that aren't necessary.
Definitely, as home automation has been growing over the years and is still going to be moving forward in the years, it's not going to surprise me if that's one of the features that we eventually do add in the next little while.
I'd be looking forward to it. All right. Well, Lucas, I don't have any other questions for you, unless you have any other big announcements that you want to make here in the lab. If you want to, drop that big news, the big surprise that you're trying to not leak. Otherwise, I think we're good to go.
Well, if my boss found out that I was leaking information, I might get in trouble there. But, there's definitely a lot of exciting new things, and I would definitely keep your eyes on the Valencia website to stay up with the latest updates and what's going to be coming out. We're always launching out new different newsletters about stuff that we have coming out, and we're always trying to keep customers in the loop about those sort of things. So definitely, as soon as we get some new stuff, we're 100% going to want the Thrillcat Labs to be taking a look at it.
Absolutely. Well, and also, if you're going to be in Denver at CEDIA, check out, it's Sound Room 11. Again, there's going to be seating inside and out, so you'll get to experience 1, 2, kind of 3.5 different models here: the Barcelona, the Oslo, and the Tuscany. And then when you're outside, you can check out the ventilated, heated model Tuscany as well.
And we do also have the Oslo Ultimate in the Silver Stitch outside the SR11 as well.
Right on. All right. Lucas, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And we will talk to you again real soon.
Thank you very much for having me, Travis. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.